Hello, I'm Dean Karstens, and this is Dean's N-Scale Trains. I'm standing in front of my latest layout, the Conejos Valley Railroad, and today I'm going to talk about rocks and rock castings. How do you make them? How do you finish them? How do you color them? How do you install them? And so on. Specifically, I'm going to be talking about this particular rock formation right here that I recently added just above the river. So I'll go into the details of what I did. Here's what it looks like when everything is finished. Note that there's two bridges on the two tracks going over the river that have not been finished, and the bottom of the river has not been finished yet. So I have a number of rubber molds that I use, different. Don't know if you can see those. For today's exercise, I'm going to use Plaster of Paris. I also use Hydrocal. Hydrocal is more expensive, but it's lighter weight and it's stronger. So before we start, I'm going to take these molds and rinse them out in soapy water. I just made a little bit of soapy water here. Keep the plaster from sticking, and also it helps to wet the molds with a little bit of soapy water there. So I've measured out 1 part of water to 2 parts of Plaster of Paris. Just slowly pour in the Plaster of Paris. Let it soak in. And leave it for a minute or two. And when you're done, just let the excess plaster harden and throw it in the trash. Don't put anything down the drain because it'll mess up your drain seriously. Okay, let's start mixing. You want to get it as homogeneous as possible. I mostly want to concentrate on small pieces today. Once it's filled, it's a good idea to bounce it a couple times. Helps to level it and also gets rid of bubbles. So I think I'll do this one here. Okay, now we tiptoe away and let those set up. Okay, so these have set up for 4 or 5 hours. They're not quite hard yet. I can still scratch them, but see how they do coming out. Looks pretty good. Forgot to turn the lights on. That's better. So they look very nice. To color the rocks, I use dilute acrylic paints. You can buy these at any art store. I use burnt umber, yellow ochre, and black. Normally I like to paint the rocks after I install them, but for this demonstration I'm just going to do it here. Let's start out with the burnt umber. Just dab it randomly. You can use more or less. Go back over to increase the color if you want to. Then we'll put in a little yellow ochre. And finally some black overall. Helps to bring out the and if it collects in cracks, just leave it. It'll make that a little bit darker. Here's what it looks like when the paint has been absorbed. So now it's time to add the rock piece that I've picked out to this part of the railroad. You notice here I've cut away the plaster and the underlying styrofoam until we get a pretty good fit. Here I'm repairing the riverbed with some plaster cloth, just making a smooth, level base for the river. Here I'm mixing up some plaster of Paris so I can anchor the rock face into the base, into the styrofoam and the base of the layout. I should have protected the rails with some tape. Now I've messed it up a bit and have to clean that. I'm cleaning up the track with some paper towels, and then I'm going to wet it down and soak it up with more paper towels. Next, I'm smoothing the wet plaster with a wet brush. Carving it a little bit. Sand it with a 200 grit sandpaper to smooth things even more. Now I'm starting to color the new parts of the rock face with some dilute black acrylic paint, very dilute paint. Doing some further coloring with burnt umber and yellow ochre colors, just added randomly. Now I'm painting the surrounding ground and riverbed with my standard base coat. I use 3 Woodland Scenics fine turfs for the ground cover. I cover basically everything with earth color, and then spread a little bit of yellow grass here and there, and finally a very small amount of green, particularly around where you would expect there to be water. To hold the ground cover, I'm putting down straight Elmer's glue, white glue. Use straight white glue to hold down ground cover. This is just green ground cover. Then saturate the bushes a couple of times with scenic cement. So that's it for today. As always, if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more videos on the Conejos Valley Railroad or my other railroads, please subscribe to my channel, Dean's N-Scale Trains. Thanks a lot for watching. I really appreciate it.